From haunted houses to cursed artifacts, from whispers in the dark to battles you'll never read in scripture. This is the Unholy Podcast, hosted by Doug Owen, author, investigator, and survivor of one of the most harrowing real-life hauntings ever documented. Each week, Doug pulls back the veil between this world and the next, sharing stories that aren't fiction, because he lived them. Prepare yourself. The silence is over.
Welcome back to the Unholy Podcast, this show where we explore humanity's darkest mysteries, true hauntings, and the legends that refuse to die. I'm your host, author and paranormal investigator Doug Owen, and tonight we're going deep into one of the most famous supernatural objects in history. A book so large, so impossibly detailed, and so shrouded in legend that medieval scholars whisper it was written in a single night by a monk who made a pact with the devil himself. Tonight, we're exploring the Codex Gigas, or also known as the Devil's Bible, and the lingering curse so many believe still cling to its pages. So, turn down the lights, because this story is as old as damnation itself. The legend of the Devil's Bible. So let's start with the legend most people know. The Codex Gigas was created in the 13th century, a Benedictine monastery in what is now the Czech Republic. The story goes that the monk broke his sacred vow and was sentenced to the ultimate punishment, being walled up alive. This was consistent back in the 13th century, and Edgar Allan Poe had written one of my favorite stories about it, The Cask of Amontillado. Desperate to escape his fate, this monk made a promise. If you spare my life, I will create a book that contains all human knowledge. But there was a catch. He had only one night to complete it. Knowing that the task was impossible, the monk made another promise. This time, a much darker power was invoked. He did invoke the devil. And in exchange for his soul, the book was completed by sunrise. To honor the infernal deal, the monk is said to have painted a full-page portrait of the devil himself inside the manuscript. A grotesque figure alone in the dark, unlike anything else in medieval Christian art. And that's how the Codex Gigas earned its name, the Devil's Bible. So supernatural curses and dark omens surround the book. Throughout history, the Codex Gigas has been blamed for plagues. Travelers who touched it claimed to fall mysteriously ill. Madness. Several custodians reported paranoia, insomnia, and seeing shadow figures after handling the book. Of course, it was blamed for destruction. Every kingdom that possessed the Codex Gigas eventually suffered a major catastrophe. War, fire, political collapse. Even the Swedish army, who captured it as a war treasure, attributed an outbreak of deadly illness to the manuscript's arrival. Let's talk about the turning pages at night phenomenon. Now, multiple caretakers claim that this massive book, which is over 160 pounds, will sometimes shift pages on its own, without any draft or visible disturbance. The curse of obsession historians who study it long term, have reported terrifying dreams of the red devil inside, watching, waiting, and calling. Let's dive into facts versus legend and find the historical truth. Let's see what scholars actually know. The Codex Gigas was written in the early 1200s. It contains 310 pages made from more than 160 animal skins. It is the largest surviving medieval manuscript in the world and was likely written by a single scribe, verified through handwriting analysis by modern detectives. It probably took 20 to 30 years to complete, not one night. This book was kept in several monasteries until captured by Sweden in the 30-Year War. So what's inside the Codex Gigas? Well, the book isn't just a Bible. Inside, the book contains the complete Vulgate Bible, both New and Old Testament. It contains Isidor's Encyclopedia, a massive medieval reference book covering physics, medicine, animals, geography, and theology. Medical text, early remedies, cures, and instructions for treating illness. Of course, one of the most disturbing is exorcism rituals, prayers, incantations, and protection from the demonic are listed in the Codex. A penance list, a catalog of sin and the punishments required to cleanse them. The Chronicle of Bohemia, a historical record of that region, is also contained inside the book, very detailed. One of the most important things, of course, is the devil's portrait. A full-page illustration of the horned demon, with clawed hands, isolated and iconic. Its origin is still unexplained. Did he draw the portrait as he looked upon the devil? Did the devil insist that he make an image of him in the book as part of their bargain? And lastly, there seems to be a page devoted to heaven, facing directly opposite the devil portrait, a subtle warning that humanity stands between those two destinies. The contrast is, of course, deliberate. Medieval monks didn't do anything by accident. So where is the Codex Gigas now? Today, the Codex Gigas is housed in the National Library of Sweden in Stockholm. It is stored under controlled temperature, humidity, and lighting. Viewing it requires strict approval, and only a select number of researchers get close to it each year. Visitors often report an overwhelming sense of heaviness near the manuscript. For example, one librarian claimed, quote, "The book feels alive. You don't read it, it reads you," end quote. Now, whether that's superstition or something more, well, that's up for you to decide. So what I want to do in the coming weeks is explore these forbidden and hidden tomes. There are several of these books scattered throughout humanity. Forbidden knowledge, not just by Christians, but by sensible human beings. Some of these books are dangerous and never meant to be read. Do they hold supernatural powers? Are they cursed? Do we know what they do when read? Well, you have examples in pop culture, media. The Evil Dead, of course, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, obviously summons up the forest spirits and causes all kinds of havoc. But real, terrifying tomes that have been written throughout history, and there is a handful of them. So we will explore these hidden and possibly cursed objects going forward. And we'll talk about the facts, the legends, what they are, who created them, and what we know, in an effort to uncover the truth. And the Codex Gigas remains one of the most powerful intersections of faith, of fear, and a legend. Whether it's a cursed manuscript fueled by a dark pact, or simply the work of a brilliant, obsessive monk, the truth is this: something about this book shakes people. It challenges belief, it sparks nightmares, And this book refuses to be forgotten to history. And that alone is its own kind of supernatural power. So, next week we'll dive into another episode and explore these other tomes. But for now, I'm Doug Owen. This has been a deep dive into one of history's most disturbing artifacts. And if you enjoyed this episode, follow the show, leave a review, and share it with somebody who loves the strange and the unexplained. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember that sometimes the silence is the most terrifying thing.
You've just heard another chilling chapter of the Unholy podcast, hosted by Doug Owen, author, investigator, and witness to the things most fear to name. For more real stories, cursed objects, and exclusive content, step deeper into the dark at authorDougOwen.com. Subscribe, share, and remember, some silences aren't empty, they're waiting.